Hi everyone, it's me, Krylios, Team Racing Productions MC and producer, and joining me today is musician Naj. How are you?
I am good. How are you doing?
I am doing well. I am doing really, really well, and I'm so glad. I'm so glad that you have, chosen to be here with us. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Let me ask you, how have you been doing during this time? You know, this very unprecedented time. How has that been for you personally so far?
I've actually been I've been doing pretty well, and it's because I've been creating. I think, creativity just lifts me up and takes me to a positive place, and so yeah, I've been, recording music. I've been, filming, doing music videos.
Quite a
Um,
few too, and you've been uploading quite a few. Tell me
yeah.
about that process during a time like this, and how fulfilling is that to be able, to just be doing all of this creating during the pandemic.
Yeah, because I think that's what creativity is. It's taking what is, and sometimes what is a pandemic, right? And it turns it into something that can uplift and motivate, or that's beautiful, or I think that's the magic of creating, whether it's music or writing, whatever that is. I think that's the magic of that. So it's been I mean, it kind of worked out. In my head, I always wanted to do films, and earlier this year, they said, let me just get a camera, upgrade my computer, and just jump in, right? And everything came right before the pandemic, right before the lockdown. And so I spent that time just kind of learning the software, learning the camera, and it just kind of took me away from, it allowed me to focus on something that was uplifting.
Wonderful. Tell me,
Yeah.
what's the general vibe, the general aesthetic, the general inspiration for the projects that you are working on right now during this time?
It's encouraging. It's about, reminding, searching for the hope and the light at the end of the tunnel. One of the songs I did was "Hold On," the Negro spiritual, because I feel like, if these are the songs of our ancestors, and these are the songs that gave them strength, and through impossible times. I mean, this is nothing compared to what they had to go through. And so, I feel like it's an opportunity to look back and lean back on our history and our past and what's brought us thus far.
Of course. You know, something I've wondered, you've been in this business now for quite a while. Tell me how it was for you, and how it has been, and how it is for you being an openly queer musician. Tell me about that, and the benefits, the pros, the cons, the trappings, all of
So it's been a rewarding journey, but it's been a tough journey. I had to deal with a lot. When I came out, publicly, and I think it was about 2009. There weren't many people who were out. I mean, now it's more. There's more visibility. There's more acceptance. But back then, I was really scared about coming out publicly. But it was. That's kind of the benefit of being an independent artist. I wasn't on a major label. I think if I was on a major label or something like that, it would have been, almost impossible back then. But the benefit of being an independent artist was that I could follow my heart and kind of stay true to what's, the core of who I am. Um, and so that has kept me,
Mm.
and people step in. So I haven't had the huge success of other artists, but if I've had people come in and step in just when I needed them. And from the work I do, I read the comments people post on videos, and I really feel like I'm meeting a real need for music that speaks to our queer experience, and that's important. There's one comment that stays in my mind. It sounded like a teenager, and she said, every time I listen to a song, you remind me that I'm not alone. One of your songs that reminds me I'm not alone, and that's like like you
Oh,
can't ask for more than
that's
that.
beautiful. Yeah, you can. That is really, really beautiful. Tell me a little bit. Give me some background to your artistry. How did you get into music? What spurred you on to this journey?
So I was that kid, like I was always singing, like I was singing, I grew up in Guyana, so we have the verandas, and I would stand up on for here you call it patios, but I'd stand out there and I'd just
I haven't
sing and
heard
sing.
Miranda since I was back in Jamaica. I love it. I love a veranda.
Yep. Yeah, and I would just sing and sing and sing, and finally my mom was like, this kid just keeps on singing. Let's put him. My dad's a church minister, so they put me in church to sing, and from that point I never stopped. And I don't know, I was 5 or 6 or I don't know 7, something like that. And from then, I just kept on being invited to perform. I've performed for the presidents of various countries, just in groups, and I moved from Guyana to Trinidad and then to here to New York, and I've always been called to sing, so I just kept on answering the call.
No, you mentioned something very interesting to me, and that's that your father was a minister. What was that like? What was that relationship like, especially with you, coming out publicly and, also still, aspiring to be a musician? And what was that conversation like? What was that relationship like?
It was difficult. Because just being an artist, that whole idea of artistry was, in my family, everyone went to college, right? You went to college and got a career, and the Caribbean thing, right? You
Yeah,
do
of
something
course.
stable, um, and so that it was difficult. So my dad isn't super like vocal, but I could feel it, this isn't what they wanted for me. And then when I came out, it was more my mom who had a really difficult time with that. Like she would,
Wow, same.
yeah, she would, yeah. And so my dad would, like, I get these calls, my mom is crying in the middle of the night. It was really just very, very difficult for her. I
Uh-huh.
think she felt guilty, and it was like maybe her fault, or it was. But
Similar,
luckily, what's that?
similar experience, very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But luckily, over that was, I don't know, 20 years ago, and over the years we've gotten to a place where, recently I heard my mom said she went to the church. They live in Orlando now, and the church they went to, the minister said, we shouldn't. As he was speaking about LGBTQ community, and he said, we shouldn't be judging,
Mhm.
and that kind of floored me, right? I was like, oh my God, I didn't realize they'd kind of gotten to that place.
Yeah.
And then my mom is like, well, I can't imagine why anyone would be judging, and this, I was like, what?
That
But
is funny. That is funny.
yeah.
That is funny. So, tell me how being queer, 'cause and I think you've touched on this a little bit, but how your music really encapsulates that, all of that. Have you always wanted that to be a part of your music? Did that come slowly over time? Has it always been ingrained within? Because I'm sure, because as someone who I think of myself as an artist as well, and I will say that my queerness 100% you know affects and inspires and affects everything that I do. Like, it's something that's on my mind. I mean, my sense of taste, my sensibilities, things that I like. Because I am queer,
Yeah.
there's a queer lens is happens through that. Tell me about that with your music.
So my first recording was in 2001, and I was still coming to terms with who I was. I was kind of still kind of working through that. And so it wasn't forefront, it was kind of in the back. I knew for sure I wasn't going to sing about a woman or, do any of that. Like, it was very neutral, all the love songs was all about you. And and that kind of happened for the first, I think 4 albums. And then on the fifth one, um, that's when I started using male pronouns and just kind of, yeah. So it took it was kind of a progression for me, and of coming out. But I mean what really kind of helped me get to that point was, the LGBTQ we'd send the music out to LGBTQ radio,
Hmm.
and they were always the most supportive, and they're just so warm and welcoming, and that kind of stayed with me. I need to support the community that's really supporting me, that has had my back for all this time.
Wow, wow, wow. Of course, definitely. I like hearing that, you know. And I like how you have that whole transition. You start with no specific pronouns yet, and then you kind of work up to it. I definitely
Yeah,
like it. Tell me,
yeah.
who are some of your biggest music inspirations?
Oh wow. So for me, it was Maxwell. He had the
Oh.
falsetto and the that organic live instruments, organic vibe. And when I heard him, I was like, I can do this. He was really my like, I can do this. And prior to him, of course, it was like Michael Jackson, and after that, Sade, the kind of mellow,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So yeah, those are
Yeah,
my,
you kind of lean into that vibe as well. Yeah, not kind of, you
yeah,
do.
yeah,
So yes,
yeah.
I definitely get that. Well, for our audience out there who wants to get your music, they want to follow you, keep up with you, social media, all of that, go ahead and plug that right now.
So yeah, you can follow me. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. And for all of them, it's Nhojj, just backslash Nhojj. And that's spelled Nhojj. I'm also I just started a Patreon account, and Patreon is it's a way to support independent art. As an independent artist, we don't have the big budgets of the huge record labels or whatnot, and so in order to do what we do and kind of meet the needs that we do, it takes the support of people like your listeners. So yeah, you can find me on Patreon backslash Nhojj, again, Nhojj. And of course my website. I have a website too, and that's Nhojj.com.
Thank you so much. And viewers can find that information in the description of this video. And thank you so much, Naj, for joining me today. It has been such a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me.
Of course. And we are open to doing this another time.
I
And to our,
would
go ahead.
I would love that.
Of course, definitely. And to our viewers, thank you for watching. Bye, everyone.
All right.